I mean, during this month and really throughout the entire season, he has been one of, if not the best role player after Marcus Smart in my opinion. Throughout the month of March, Hayes is putting up over 8 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 1.5 blocks per game in only 21 minutes per game, shooting 68% from the field, and on a per game basis is a plus 4.1. And then if you trim that down to their past 5 games, Hayes is averaging over 11 points per game, nearly 7 rebounds per game, 3.2 block shots per game, shooting 75% from the field, and all around is definitely a big contributor to this rotation. And if you then trim that down to games that he's only started in this season, he's been very good. At this point, averaging 12.4 points per game, 5.1 rebounds per game, 1.1 steals per game, 2 assists per game, roughly 1 block per game, and on average is a plus 2.6 when he's in games that he did start. And then between both himself and DeAndre Ayton, the Lakers finally have a good, reliable center rotation, with both of them playing well at the same time. It's finally not simply Ayton playing well, then with Hayes kind of being hurt and being out game to game, or then with Hayes playing well, but Ayton not playing well. They're both playing pretty well at this point. Again, throughout the month of March, I talked about what Hayes has put up, but Ayton has quietly rounded back to form too. Averaging 10.5 points per game, grabbing nearly 8 rebounds per game, blocking 1 shot per game, and getting back to his efficient self from earlier this season, shooting a team high 73.5%. And if you then combine those two, they're averaging roughly 19 points per game, over 12 rebounds per game, not to mention roughly 5 offensive rebounds per game, blocking 2.5 shots per game, and are simply being very efficient whenever they are on the court. And like I mentioned, that's helped turn the Lakers into a top 10 defense during the month of March. And not only that, but a very scrappy, disruptive defense too. Something I've talked about lately. Earlier this season, the Lakers were not very disruptive, being a bottom 10 team in regard to steals per game, in regard to fast break points per game, and being in the bottom half in points per game off turnovers. But now throughout the month of March, which both Hayes and DeAndre Ayton have in fact contributed to, they're currently top 10 in both steals per game and blocks per game too, averaging over 6 blocks per game, ranking 9th in the NBA, and then averaging over 9 steals per game, tied for 5th in the NBA, and not to mention averaging over 21 points per game off turnovers alone, currently ranking in the top 4. And well, getting back to Hayes here and how he's impacted that, during the Lakers' past 4 games alone, he has 14 blocked shots, including 5 in their last game against Brooklyn, 2 against Indiana, 4 against Detroit, and then 3 against Orlando. Yeah, not too shabby. The guy is currently on a shot blocking spree on the court. He's getting the timing down right, he's becoming a very effective and impactful rim protector, not to mention that he doesn't have more than 3 fouls in any one of those games too. So yes, he's finally gotten to the point where he's a reliable defensive big man for them, can in fact play the 5, there's no question about it, and there's no questioning the fit of him with either Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and LeBron James on offense too. We obviously love to see the lobs that he throws down from them. They're fun to watch and he really has the timing perfectly, not to mention is an elite athlete on the court. With him and Luka Doncic in the pick and roll, 9 times out of 10, Luka's either going to score or he's going to find Hayes for a lob at the rim. But something that I don't see many talking about, especially with Hayes on offense, is the fact that he's a pretty good skip passer too. Whether it's in the pick and roll game or he simply gets in the middle, he's not simply getting tunnel vision, isn't turning the ball over regularly, or isn't putting his head down and trying to put up a dumb shot. He actually scans the court and often does find an open teammate. Like during their last game for example, here we have Hayes getting the ball in the middle of the court, he takes a moment to scan the court, and after he sees Ben Seraph drop here, leaving Luke Kennard open on the wing, he quickly kicks out to Luke Kennard for an open 3-point shot. And this is something that we could go through the entire season and point out many other good examples with Jaxson Hayes. Not simply getting rid of the ball immediately after he gets it, not afraid to have the ball and make a decision with it, but he actually does a pretty good job at reading the defense and then making the right pass after. And in my opinion, that's one of, if not the biggest area that him and DeAndre Ayton differ, especially on offense. Yes, there are differences obviously that you can point to. Hayes is a bit more athletic in my opinion, is a better lob threat, does have better hands not to mention, whereas Ayton is a bit more skilled, does have more touch around the rim, is a better post-up big, so on and so forth. But again, with something that people don't often mention, especially on offense, is that he's pretty good at reading the court and making the right pass. And like I said, in games where Hayes starts for their team, he's averaging roughly 2 assists per game, compared to Ayton, who's averaging under 1 assist per game in the exact same amount of minutes on the court, both of them averaging 27.5 per game in games that they start. And not to mention that even with Hayes averaging more assists per game, over double of what Ayton's putting up, he averages under 1 turnover per game, whereas Ayton commits 1.3 per game. Again, not trying to pin them against each other, I like what they have both offered throughout the month of March and really throughout this 12-14 game stretch that the Lakers have been on. I think as a combination they play great, but I like the fact that they do also differ. I mean, going back to what Luka Doncic had back in Dallas, kind of the similar thing, albeit a little bit different. You know, Daniel Gafford is that athletic lob threat, defensive-minded player that isn't very talented with the ball, but with Derek Lively, he kind of had that passing touch coming off the bench too. And while I'm not comparing Hayes to that level of passing ability, again, I think Derek Lively is actually very underrated in that regard. That's kind of what he offers compared to what DeAndre Ayton offers. And if they can both be consistent, reliable options within their center rotation, I think that gives this Laker team a different look heading toward the postseason. Again, one that not many talk about with Jaxson Hayes. Everyone tends to overlook it, not talk about it, and not really give him much credit, but he is in fact a big part of this rotation, even is a big part of this team when Ayton cannot play. Again, going back to what he does in games that he starts their team, and simply when he's available within it, he's a very reliable rotation player for their team. Probably the most reliable within his role, after Marcus Smart. And here's what Reddit had to say about him following their game against the Pacers the other night. I think this gives a great perspective on it.
JJ, you mentioned Jaxson. I think his first double-double of the year, in season highs in both points and rebounds. Just what did you see from him in terms of, and he always brings that energy, but on a night like this when everyone's a little bit tired, let's say, just how important was that energy from him?
It was great. I thought, again, it starts with running the floor for him. In particular, to start that third quarter, just created a bunch of scoring opportunities for us. And these guys, they know how dynamic he is as a roller, and they're looking for him. And I thought he did a great job of getting to the spots with pace, and then at times playing through some contact as well. And just like a number of guys on our team, he ends up with 2 steals and 2 blocks. We had 15 steals as a team. I thought our activity was great, and I really, Jake ended up with 4, but he led that. He had a number of deflections as well.
Again, not many give him credit and not nearly enough of it in my opinion, but Jaxson Hayes has quietly been very good lately and really throughout the entire season. I mean, they don't get to this point, they don't figure it out, not only with Luka, LeBron, and Austin, but figure out the rotation without Jaxson Hayes. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching, and have a great day or night.